Welcome to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, powered by ForemanLLC, LLC, a consulting and professional development services firm. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman. Our podcast provides professionals and organizational leaders with helpful advice, tips, and business news that you can use for training, development, strategic realignment, and more. We examine the tough questions and issues impacting our businesses, households, and communities. If you like what you hear and find the content useful, please share us with your inner circle. Now that we've covered that and you've learned a little about us and why we do what we do, let's get to work. Join us for today's episode. Hey everyone. Goodness. It's Natasha. Glad to be here with all of you today. Episode 84. Is this 84? It's 84. Oh my goodness. The trap of enabling. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Oh, perfect timing. So, there's a difference between helping and enabling. And we know it. We say it, but somehow, some way we find ourselves in a trap, a big old thorny pit called enablement. Is that a word? I'm so crazy. Oh my goodness. Let me start off with a quote from Louise Penny. And it says, "Life is a choice all day, every day, who we talk to, where we sit, where we say, or what we say, how we say it. And our lives become defined by our choices. It's as simple and as complex as that, and as powerful." Boom, it's a choice. And, we want to help others. We want to help people who are suffering, especially when those people are our loved ones. We want to help them with their pain, and we believe we have what they need to feel better, get better, and stay better. And it goes from chicken noodle soup to somehow carrying the full load of the world. And that's where the enabling kicks in, and you get that roundhouse kick to the forehead. Let me adjust my mic. There we go. Hopefully you also got that visualization of the roundhouse kick to the forehead. Now, we see and experience this a lot when we have a loved one who is fighting an addiction, right? And an addiction is not like the infection that chicken noodle soup is trying to soothe, but we sometimes approach it the same way. And what we find is that our presence and our tendency to overhelp, to be more than a support, turns us more into a hindrance. And too many people are acting like wheelchairs for people who are more than capable of walking. And here's the thing, if you're going to be a wheelchair, then why wouldn't someone ride on you? You're a wheelchair. You want to be ridden. If you're going to do everything for them, then why would they do anything for themselves? But when you love someone and you want to see them better, you don't see yourself as a wheelchair. You don't see yourself being ridden, but they do. And their undesirable behavior doesn't improve. It doesn't change for the better. No. It actually gets worse. And at some point, you're blindsided when they grow to resent you and all of your wheelchair ways. And they want to remind you that they're an adult, a grown blankety blank man, or a bloopity blop blam blam woman, or whatever. I'm not going to cuss on here, but you can fill in those blanks and those bloops. Right? And they unleash a storm of energy on you that crushes you blow by blow. We can go down that rabbit hole, but today we're not going to speak about any specific behaviors. We're going to speak to you, the one who is doing the enabling. We're going to talk about that behavior. Okay? We're going to talk about that behavior. Not theirs, but yours, mine, ours. Because it doesn't matter if it's an addictive behavior or anything else, right? What we're focusing on is you and the choices you're making to enable the behavior, to enable their behavior. And something that I don't know if researchers have stated or recognized. I don't know. I didn't research it before I started, for this episode, but maybe I should have, so I could be able to speak from that frame point. But this is my opinion. So if there's research out there that supports my opinion, then great. I'm on the same wavelength. But in my opinion, enabling in a lot of ways can itself become an addiction. Like, you can become addicted to trying to help, as you call it, and you're doing everything in your power, going above and beyond to limit the chaos, limit the undesired behavior of the other person. And some people get the savior's complex, that Captain Sava, yeah. I'll let you fill in the blank, those of you that know that phrase, that saying. And I found this quote from Linda Thurwanger that says, "There's a difference between helping and enabling someone. Helping occurs when we assist someone who is unable to do something on their own, or when we teach someone something that allows them to become confident in their own abilities and independent of us. When we do things for other people that they are capable of doing for themselves, we are enabling them. We may not realize it, but that kind of helping makes us feel superior to the other person. It damages the other person's self-esteem and encourages them to remain dependent on us." Yeah. She has a site called yourimpoweredself.com. So I found that. I've been thinking about it. If you guys hear me, I'm sorry. I'm moving my mic to readjust to me. The more help you provide, the more you support that person's behavior. You are negatively reinforcing their behavior through an act that you deem as positive and desirable. And for you, it appears to be because you're doing something and you think that something outweighs the other person's nothing. And you're cleaning and they're not. But you think that the more you clean, that eventually they will too. And you think you're the motivation and that it will be, and, that motivation being you will motivate them to begin cleaning. And really, there's three ways in which you're thinking that your motivation is doing this. That they're going to begin cleaning either out of guilt, shame, or inspiration. Right? So either they're going to feel guilty about watching you do it. You're going to shame them, into doing it. Or they're going to be inspired. They're going to look at you and be inspired by you and say, wow, he did it. I can too. And then maybe one day they do clean. And you do internal somersaults. But then a few days later, they're back to their old backsliding ways. And so you ramp up your efforts. You're a hamster on a wheel that you designed. That's all it comes down to. Adults must take responsibility for their words and actions, and they must be held accountable for their words and actions. If you stand in the gap and create an environment where they don't have to take responsibility, then their inner child will step in and say, thanks, gotta go play. And they'll leave their responsibility in your lap, staying in your favorite outfit. You got that visual? That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. So how do we do this? One way is by making excuses for them. When we make excuses for the things they say and do, for how they mistreat themselves and others, for their lack of follow through, excuses for their sense of entitlement, arrogance, selfishness, self-centeredness, all of it is enabling. When they steal and you make an excuse, where is the responsibility and accountability? What you don't realize is you've now assumed responsibility for their actions. When they keep dropping the ball and you keep making excuses for the ball, like you're making excuses for them as to why they dropped the ball. Like now it's because it's the ball's fault. There's something, the ball is just slippery. It's got something on it. Maybe the ball is too big or it's too small, or maybe it's got something, yeah. Like you're making excuses for the ball. No, they're dropping it. Maybe they need to improve their ball handling skills. When we're making excuses for their lack of participation as a parent in their children's life, we're enabling.
When you find yourself saying, well, they didn't grow up with good role models, or they didn't have a healthy home environment, or their dad wasn't around, or their mom wasn't around, or their parents were addicts, or whatever words you let slide out of your mouth to excuse their unacceptable behavior, you, my friend, are enabling them. There's no accountability and responsibility in that dynamic. Their childhood is not an excuse for what they choose to do as an adult. There are a lot of people, a lot of parents out there that had brutal childhoods, that are awesome parents, that are actively involved and engaged in their children's life. And they're not using their past as an excuse to leave their children shortchanged and empty-handed. But when you have an enabler in your life that gives you that excuse and frees you from that responsibility and accountability, boom, that person's become a wheelchair. Ride them. That's what's happened. You're being just ridden till those wheels fall off. And then they'll still find a way to scoot you. They'll just plug on some darn tennis balls, scoot you down the street. They have bills, but you step in and pay them. Okay, continue doing it, and they will no longer accept responsibility for those bills. But guess what? They won't hesitate to say that they, the things that they have associated with those bills, that they're theirs. That those things, right, whatever those bills are attached to, that's mine. They're not paying rent. You are, but they'll still say, that's my house. You're not. Okay. You stepped in and you started paying their car note because they stopped paying on it for whatever reason. And even if they're earning income, they're not paying on that car, but will scream that it's their car. Actually, it's the bank's car. It's whoever the lien holder is on the car. That's whose car it is. Wherever you're renting from, it's their property. You're just renting it. You're borrowing it temporarily. There's a real estate investor who said that he does multi-family properties. He was like, y'all need to stop saying that something is yours. He's like, you don't own that place that you're renting. The homeowner owns it. The landlord owns it. You're just hanging out in there. And the thing is this, when we're looking at the car, right? They're not going to take responsibility for paying that car note so they can pay off the loan and own it free and clear. All right? Now, let me throw something else in the mix. We've all had some rough times. Am I moving this mic? I know you guys are like, if she don't get the mic together, I'm a work in progress, folks. I'm a work in progress. Just work with me. I'm over here being animated. That's my problem. Talk with my hands. Let me throw something out in the mix. We've all, and if you haven't, God bless you, but the rest of us have all had some rough times when we've reached out to family and possibly friends to help us when our months were way longer than our money, right? I've been there more times than, I have, right? I'm going through some stuff right now. And whether through gift or loan, someone stepped in and they gave us the money we needed to keep the roof over our head or food in our bellies and access to transportation, right? That's helping. It's done to be a temporary bridge over our gap. And when temporary turns into long-term and seemingly permanent, then we are taking advantage of whoever's providing the means for the bridge. Do you see that? Now, if the person didn't say to you, you know what, let me help you out. Let me cover the bill for the next few months. Or let me take over this bill until you get on your feet. Unless you heard something like that, then it's expected to be a one-time payment. And even the concept of until you get on your feet, that can become a trap if the person you're helping gets comfy with this new arrangement and never feels the need to say, hey, I want to thank you. I'm on my feet now. Thank you so much for helping me. I hope to repay you soon and be in a position to help someone in the future like you helped me. Like, if you see that this person that you think that you're helping, They have money flowing in, and they have the excess to shop till they drop on fashion items and TV sets that look like jumbotrons. Then it's time for some grown folk talk about your money and how it's being invested, because it's your money that you're giving to this adult who's able-bodied, able-mind, right? They don't have money to resume paying that bill or those bills, but they have money to travel and go on cruises and, walk around with some shoes on they can't even pronounce. It's time for a meeting. It's time for a meeting. Your money is being invested in a person who is acting as though they have no intent in ending that arrangement. Your money has seemingly been factored in as an income stream. You are now an income stream for them. There's a difference when that's the agreed upon arrangement. Now, if you are their sugar daddy, sugar mama, their sponsor, whatever, if you have agreed to just take on this responsibility, that's one thing. But if that is not the arrangement, you better have a coming to Jesus meeting real quick, real fast, right now. But so many of us get uncomfortable about having the important conversations. We'll blabber endlessly over some trivial gossip, calling it tea, when it's actually just acid. Right? Or some rancid junk. But then we avoid topics that we fear will lead to confrontation and argument. And the more you enable, the more that energy is embedded in the relationship. You become the artist that creates the unhealthy dynamics you thought you were working on fixing. And the more you give, the more the other person will take. And when you don't have any more to give, or you start wising up and saying, no, then they become resentful and retaliate in some ways that looks like the most overly dramatized temper tantrum on the planet. And it's never a good look on an adult. Like, you see adults when they temper tantrum, it's just never a good look. It's just really not. But they'll do it anyway to get a reaction. And they're hoping that reaction is your white flag waving frantically in the air, giving in to whatever they requested. And the more you say yes, the more they will ask and expect and demand. And that means it will become harder to say no. But there is love in no. And sometimes there is more love in no than yes. The more you run on your self-designed hamster wheel, the more drained you become mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and most likely financially. And your health starts taking a clobbering. Stress builds up, anxiety kicks in, you're having problems sleeping, your eating habits nosedive. The more you enable, the worse you become. You can see people. You can see those people. You can, the parents that are like aging rapidly, and then you go and look at their adult kids and you're like, I get it. That's why your teeth are falling out your face. Because you're grinding them day and night, because you won't just let your no be a no and do so out of love. When we enable, we are supporting the very behaviors we find undesirable. And what's another difference between helping and enabling? When we help, we aren't taking responsibility for the consequences of someone else's actions. When we help, we aren't depleting our resources, strength, and energy to provide for another capable adult. When we enable, we step in time and time again, pivoting this other person to help them avoid the consequences for the things they did. And don't let us have a team of enablers who have joined forces with us to pass this person around to avoid being tackled by consequences. Like, I want you to visualize a football field or a rugby field. Imagine running with the ball and passing it to another player while deflecting the oncoming rush of the opponent. Well, the adult you're enabling is the ball. The opponents are all of the consequences that are tempting to be fulfilled. When we're helping the person and not enabling them, we refuse to run with the ball. We say with love, no, I won't help you run. You did what you did, face the consequences. I'll come with you, support you, but I love you too much to watch you lose the best parts of your life running. We love so much and so hard that we want our loved ones to avoid feeling anything that they or we would deem as negative. But guess what? Our actions are helping to stir up more and more negativity. That energy just keeps building up and brewing and stewing. And at some point, that pot is going to explode all over the place. And sadly, do you know who it's going to explode on? You. and some unsuspecting bystander. When we enable, there are barely any boundaries. So many lines have been blurred and erased, and there must be healthy boundaries, rules of engagement, and consequences. We can encourage the person, but dadgummit, you gotta catch yourself when you hear an excuse trying to roll out of your mouth. Just as you have to hold them accountable when you hear the words trying to form as an excuse. Reject it. Nope, no, heck no, no excuses. It's about responsibility and accountability. Because we're grown folks, right? You're not a child, they're not a child. I mean, you're not dealing with a child. And even then, we still have standards for what is expected from children. Children are learning the rules of engagement. They're learning the standards, and we're holding them to this. And then look what we do once they become adults. Like, what? How do you get to, like, go back to square zero? Not even square one. You're just going back to before you even take the first step. No rules. Huh? No accountability. Do what you want to do. Don't worry. I'll save you. If you're not standing, like really, you're just not standing. There's no way, no how that you're standing for a child to play video games all day long, all day, every day, or for the bulk of the day. Then why are you going to make excuses for and allow a grown person to sit around on their stinky butt all day playing video games that they aren't getting paid to play? Now, if they're getting paid to play, I'm like, okay, babe, what you need? What you need? What you need? All right, son. All right, daughter. All right, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, whatever. But if this is just some leisure time hobby stuff, please. If their gameplay isn't resulting in bills being paid, dishes being washed, laundry folded, washed, well, let me back up. Laundry washed, folded, and put away. All right. Food being provided for the household. Then no way, no sir, no ma'am. They need to get up, get out, get to work, get a job, get a mop, hit those floors until they're squeaky clean. Now, if I cook, you clean. If I threw the laundry in the washer, and then in the dryer, you need to fold them, flop them, put them on hangers, hang them up. What? What's going on? What's going on? No free rides, no free rent, no, we're not doing that. How many enablers lie for their loved ones? That's another one. Or you support the lies they tell because you're hoping to help them prevent negative consequences. There we go. I mean, I've done it. You've probably done it too. It's not helping anyone when we do it. There are natural consequences for everything we do in life. And yes, sometimes the energy of those consequences feels negative because it's undesirable. But if we don't face them, they only get bigger and worse. And sometimes we find out that the consequences weren't as bad as we had imagined. And sometimes we find out that it's exactly how we imagined. Oh gosh. And yep, sometimes it's way, way worse. But we did something, and now we have to be held accountable for it. You know, and it's not that we even have to do anything like reckless or brutal or criminal. It's just we put some energy out there, and that energy's now come back. You know, we didn't follow through properly with something. There's a consequences for it, and we have to deal with it. How many of you avoid speaking up, broaching a topic that you really need addressed? Avoid calling the person out for their behavior. Like, how, will you admit that you do that? I mean, how many of you lie to yourselves and you're convinced that you're avoiding them to give them time to think about what they've done? Really? I mean, it's already been shown that this form of avoidance is called isolation. It can actually stir up a hornet's nest of negative behaviors and cause greater health problems to them, and guess what, to you. You can actually make matters worse. Dude, you're leaving them alone to think and assume the worst. That's a great way to set someone up to spiral out of control. Avoidance is fear, it's not love. So let's stop giving power to fear by avoiding the people, the issues, and the conversations that we need to have to resolve and heal situations. You can't force someone to get better. You can't be the source of their healing and health. You aren't their savior. You play a small part in their big old world. unless you're an enabler. If you're an enabler, then you become their world. And that's the worst place and position that you should ever have. And shame on you if you think that that's a good place to be. If you're a good listener, then listen actively and, if possible, empathetically. And when you don't know or understand something, be honest. Get help. Encourage your loved one to get help. Help them understand what steps they need to take to get the help they need. But don't hold their hand. You can't hold their hand. That is enabling. You know, for those of you that don't know, I'm also a college professor. And I tell my college students, I don't give grades, you earn them. I won't hold your hand, but I'll run beside you, tracking with you. But this is your race for you to run and win. I tell them that. All right. I put it in writing for them as well, so they can see it. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. I tell them that they may stumble and fall, and it's their choice to get up and brush themselves off or not. I will be on the sidelines encouraging them, but I won't run out there and run this race for them. If they need to crawl on their knees or their belly, I will have some first aid products for them on the side of the other side of the finish line. But they have to want this more than me. They have to put in the work. And I've had some students over the years, and some of them are probably listening. I've had some students over the years that expect to receive a passing grade just because. They didn't earn it, they just wanted it. And I'm like, well, this class is offered again next semester. Please contact your academic advisor for assistance. Just like that. If I give you a grade that you didn't earn, what have you learned? You learned I'm a sucker, right? Maybe you've even learned, let me see what other classes this sucker's teaching so I can keep getting passing grades I didn't earn. But later, when you're looking for a job and the employer says you don't have the necessary skills, right? You've got what's on your diploma, but they're looking at the work that you're doing and they're like, this person does not have the skills. I don't care what that diploma says. They don't have the skills. They don't have the working knowledge. And then you turn around and you're looking back at your professors like we created the lack. No, sir. No, ma'am. You thought your drive-by experience would somehow allow you to learn by osmosis, or you underestimated the value and need for the class, so you partially committed and then got out of it what you put in. You're going to get out of it what you put in it. So if you're not investing yourself in your college course, guess what you're going to get out of it? Absolutely nothing. Now, I've helped students who are a few points shy of a higher grade or passing the class. Heck yeah, I have. They busted their tails and came up a little short, and I can empathize. I'm going to extend some grace and give them the hand up they need. They were running the race and bit the dust a few feet short of the finish line. Heck yeah, I ran up to them and extended a hand and allowed them to grab my hand, and I helped them cross the finish line to victory. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I'll do it again, and I'll keep doing it for those that are running their tails off. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. It's like the marathon runners we've seen, right? You see them on TV or whatever, and you see they've given it all. They have. And their bodies are shutting down, and other runners see them crumbling before their eyes. And what do? Those other runners, they ran or hobbled over to them and helped them finish the race. They didn't enable them. They helped. Big difference. Big difference. But as I say this, I know that it's easier to say what I've just said and to feel the way I feel about my students and even my clients through Foreman and Associates. Because guess what? My students and my clients, they're not my relatives. They don't share my family DNA. We're not logging on an Ancestry or 23andMe and saying, oh, look at there, we're family. No, we're not. And I know that we're all spiritual family, right? We're all part of the human family, all part of the human race with billions of family members spread across the planet. But guess what? I don't love and value you as much as I do the family that shares my family names. And let's be very clear. And even with my family, some of them, I love them because we share a family tree. But even some of them, they can miss me on their foolishness. I love them. I love you. You're listening to me. You can hear me. I love you. But not that much. So I'm less inclined to enable you, and I'm more inclined to enable my family, my closest family members on top of that. I'm more inclined to enable a man I'm dating or married to than some guy that happens to be a coworker or, I run across through social media. The elements of my romantic relationship make me more susceptible, to their influence, to the influence by that person that I'm more closely connected with. The people that I've made promises and vows to, I have a higher probability of enabling them. And for some of you who may have crappy relationships with family members that you're related to by blood or marriage, look to the people closest to you that serve more as family than those you were raised by and with. You got them. Now think about them. In those relationships, you can risk going from helper to enabler much the same way. So don't think you're exempt. I say all of this to say that the closer we are to people, the tighter our bonds and the more complicated we can make things when we don't have strong values and healthy boundaries, when we don't see that there's love in the word no. And if you've been enabling an able adult, it's time to stop. You're not helping them when when you're doing this. You're hurting them. You're keeping them from healing and being whom they were created to be. For those of you with spiritual roots, let's get down on the spiritual roots of it. Let me say this to you. I'm gonna say it this way: you're blocking their blessings. When we enable, we're blocking their blessings. We're blocking the natural energy that is supposed to help them along their path. We're standing in the way. And something else that's come to mind. Stop trying to save people who either don't know they need saving or don't want it. Like, find that healthy space where you can provide help as needed with the healthy boundaries required for wellness. Stop doing things for them that they should be doing for themselves. If their bodies allow them to, then they should be doing it. That means that they can clean, they can wash their clothes, they can do their dishes. It means if they can read and have the means to go to YouTube or Food Network or whatever, they can find recipes to prepare meals to eat. Oh, that's just a pet peeve of mine when I meet men. And then I also, I see different parents that are raising their children. They're teaching their daughters how to cook, but not their sons. Like, so what's your son supposed to do when he becomes an adult, when he moves out? Like, what's he supposed to do? Just rely on a woman? Or is he just going to be buying food from restaurants the rest of his life? Come on now. We have too many resources available to us now to learn us, so we can learn how to at least learn how to cook a basic meal. Good googly moogly. Plain and simple. If nothing's restricting them, then they gotta do what they gotta do. If nothing's restricting them, then they can go get a job. There's no real restrictions. Screw the excuses. I mean, really, true bona fide restrictions to work, unless they have real legitimate reasons for not working, they can go get a job. I want to share a quote from Doe Zantamata that says, loving and supporting someone is not the same as loving and supporting someone's actions if they are harming themselves or others. The first encourages, the second enables. It takes courage to say, I love you, but I can't support what you're doing. But that will give them incentive to change much more than hoping they'll change ever will. Easier said than done, but better done than only wished for. It's a good quote. I know I kind of butchered up the last the last sentence. Yeah. And because money seems to always be blended in the enablement trap, let's talk about some things that many of us skate past, gloss over, or try to ignore. If they're living above and a whole galaxy beyond their financial means, you will remember your budget and your boundaries and lovingly say no to the entertainment expenditures they would love for you to finance. You will say no to shelling out money so they can splurge on luxuries that their income can't cover. As my dad used to drill into my mind, he used to irritate me, but I get it now. He used to say, you have to learn the difference between wants and needs. And just because you want it doesn't mean you need it. And then he taught me the thing that I cringed the most over. He was about delayed gratification. Dad used to say, learn to window shop. And if you have it in your budget, come back days or weeks later. And if you look at it and you still want it, then you can buy it. And that was and is an approach to counter that microwave mindset of getting it fast and now. But let's also add this, is that even with all that, Dad said, and if you have it in your budget, remember I said that. He didn't say in his budget or someone else's budget. It was about me being responsible with my money. If I don't have it to spend, then guess what? I'm not getting it. And I may need it. But if I don't have it, then I'm going to have to wait. And I might have to look at my budget again. And what's my expenses? And am I spending money on wants, not needs? If so, I can swap a want with a need and cover the expense that way. And isn't that part of money management? I mean, am I wrong? I'm not a finance person. I'm a management person, right? I am not a CFO. I'm not a CPA, none of that. But I mean, it seems like basic, management to me. This is managing money. And it's ignorant to go ask someone for money for an expense because you don't have enough money to cover it. And it's only because you've chosen to spend that money on something you didn't need. And let me explain that, because I know you're probably like, what? Yeah. So let's say you need gas money because you spent the money that you need for gas, that you need to, you need to put gas in the car. You spent that money on an outfit or shoes or accessories because you're going to a party. So you've mismanaged your money, correct? Yeah. And you have a nice outfit or whatever, but you won't be able to drive to the party because your car's on empty. But had you not spent the $100 on the outfit, then guess what you would have had? Ding, 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 gas in your car. But how many times do we do stuff like this? I mean, I've done it. I've done it before. And then we're reaching out to loved ones, asking for a loan when we mean a gift, or just coming straight out and saying, ooh, can you just give me $100 to fill up my gas tank? And then you end up getting an attitude when the person starts asking you questions about why you don't have enough money for gas. And didn't you just get paid? And wait, what? You just spent $100 to go look cute at a party, but you don't have gas money? And now you're going off and possibly cussing up a storm, probably disconnected the call, and then you jumped on social media posting your slanted passive-aggressive gripe about this person, hoping your followers would cheer you on from their amen corners. And now, when you're, when you're involved in an enabling relationship, your temper tantrum can result in that person buckling under your pressure and giving you what you want. And you leave them feeling guilty and also very confused, right? They're trying to help you get out of a predicament you caused. And you're upset with them because they're asking you questions about the money you're asking them to take out of their bank account to give you, that 9 times out of 10 you'll never pay back. That's just one example of how those tables get turned when a person isn't held accountable for their decisions and left to deal with the consequences. Honestly, if this is you, you need to take the $100 party stuff back, get a refund, go put that money in your car. And hopefully you don't shop at a store that tells you, we can give you a store credit, because now you probably will run out of gas when you speed out of the parking lot ticked off. I mean, but seriously, stuff like this happens all of the time. All the time. When we don't have our priorities in order, we can sometimes turn to others to ask them to make us a priority by paying for something that we should be paying for. I mean, there's been times when I've had, buyers, I've purchased something I did not need, but I wanted it. And then all of a sudden I got home and I'm looking at it. I'm like, girl, if you don't take that back, that was just stupid. Like, come on, shake it off, right? I should have just been window shopping. Instead, I was window shopping and then bought, and then was like, I really didn't even need it. I really, okay. I was just fulfilling that urge. Because when you think about it, did you need those items to go to the party? Did you need that dress? Did you need that outfit? Did you need those shoes, that accessories, whatever you spent the $100 on? Did you need it? No, but you wanted them. And your motivation was probably something shallow, like you just wanted to look good. You wanted to get attention or whatever. And did you have something else in your closet, your dresser, that you could have worn to the party? Heck yeah, you did. So what was the bigger priority? The gas in your car or the party item or items? And we all know it was and is and always will be the fuel that you need for your cars to go from point A to point B or wherever else. Because even if you're using Uber, you already don't have the money because you spent the $100 and clearly that was all that you had. This ain't back in the day where you could get gas for 99 cents a gallon. Arco, remember that? And for those of you older than me, we could get gas for 25 cents a gallon. The gas is our need if we have a vehicle. So reprioritize and gain a healthy perspective. If you're reaching out for help to satisfy needs and it's because you're financially tapped and strapped from paying for needs, then guess what? Then someone is more inclined to help. They can empathize. But if you're reaching out to satisfy needs because you spent a bunch of money on things you wanted but didn't need, then don't be surprised when someone rolls their eyes at you. If you're asking for money to satisfy your wants because you maxed out your money, someone may have questions about what you maxed your money on. Oh, an unexpected bill? Emergency? Okay, got it. Here, let me give you this money. You choosing to spend $500 to go to this popular hairstylist? Get the heck out my face. Now, for those of you listening who have heard this from the person or persons you're enabling, did it hit you differently? Hearing this example played out this way. Like, did you like, did it kind of like, oh, she hit it. I'm sure it did. I mean, it did for me. Like, thinking about it as I'm sitting here, I'm like, gosh, I've been in tons of relationships. So let me say this. As you're preparing your mind and your heart to get it together so that you can empower more and enable less, there's a quote from Macmillan that says, rescuing someone who continues to make poor choices is not called love. It's called enabling. Stop enabling and refuse to be a safety net so they can grow up. And what does that look like, right? Stop always providing them with solutions and resources. You can point them in the right direction. You can offer suggestions of sources they can research. You can tell them the key terms to type into Google or Bing or whatever search engine they use. They can't learn if you keep doing everything for them. You're not Jeeves. Remember Jeeves back in the day? You're not Siri or Alexa. They can't just ask you. And heck, even Siri will tell you she has limits to what she can do. I better stop saying her name before she clicks on one of my devices. It's not going to be easy to stop this thing that you have committed to, but taking the first step of recognizing your enabling behavior is a positive step towards a better relationship and improved well-being, a better relationship for yourself, better well-being for yourself, and a better relationship with these people that you're enabling and helping with their well-being. And with daily practice, you can begin replacing your old ways and habits with more healthy ones. It really is that beautiful. We can, like, you really, really, really can. Really can. Man. All right, let's change some things up. Let's pour in some positive vibes and crank up our volume as we do some business shout outs. I'm going to shout out some businesses. All right. Shout out number 1 is Ora Bora. They're an herbal sparkling water made from purified water, real herbal extracts, fruits, and flowers. I found them on Instagram. I saw them on Instagram. I says, ooh, what? That's awesome. And you know something? Guess what? Their sparkling water has no citric acid, which means no headaches, bitter taste, or upset stomachs. Yay! They sell variety packs, or you can just stock up on whichever flavors that pique your interest. They have some yummy sounding options like lavender cucumber, basil berry, peppermint watermelon, cactus rose, elderflower grapefruit, and they have a limited edition one, which is ginger Meyer lemon. As they say on their website, if sparkling water is meant to be delightful and delicious, why do most brands have uninspired flavors, icky ingredients, added sweeteners, and bitter aftertastes? Good question. Well, Ora Bora took matters into their own hands, and after years of testing, sourcing, and tweaking, they gave birth to Ora Bora. And something else that is awesome to share is that they're a member of the 1% for the planet, so annually they give 1% of their sales to nonprofits that are devoted to conservation and climate action. So visit aurabora.com and order some today. That's AURABORA.com. From the land to your hand, as they say. You can find them on Instagram at Drink Ora Bora. And shout out number 2 is check out Purple Construction Incorporated, headquartered in Alhambra, California. They launched in 2016 and they've completed over 200 projects with almost 900 appointed contractors, and they have won 4 awards so far. And from what I've seen, oh my gosh, they do awesome work and have great attention to detail. They have over 10 years of experience with residential remodeling. They are a CSLB licensed general building firm. So yes, they do commercial remodeling, renovations, room additions, and other projects. Their construction team also has experience with preservation and restoration. They handle general remodeling, new construction, kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, ADUs, and painting. They do it all. And some of their clients include PBG Aerospace, Virginia Robinson Gardens, and Cal State Long Beach, which is my alma mater. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yes, yes, yes. So for inquiries, please call toll-free 800-894-5312. That's toll-free 800-894-5312. Or visit their website, thepurpleconstructioninc.com, inc.com, thepurpleconstructioninc.com. You can see some of their completed and in-progress projects on Instagram at purpleconstructioninc. And then shout out number 3 is last but definitely not least is the amazing artist Sylvie Madal, who is based in Prague, Czech Republic. If you haven't seen her work, prepare yourself to be amazed. Oh my goodness, you won't want to take your eyes away from her drawings. She does realistic figurative prints with pencil that you would swear are photographs. I mean, if you didn't see her Instagram videos showing her drawing, you could easily say, oh, that's a photo. And some of her pieces take upwards of 100 hours, some longer, like amazing. There's been times where I'm on Instagram and, I log on social media oftentimes just, to pour in some energy, and extract some, right? Get some light, give some light. And when I get on Sylvie's Instagram, like I can find myself immersed in there for the longest time. So beautiful, beautiful work. Visit her website, www.sylviemahDal.com. You can go to her website. If you type in sylviemadal.com/product, you'll be able to see the new prints that she has available for sale. Follow her on Instagram at sylviemadal_art. All of the information for all 3 companies, of course, are in the show notes, and we have them featured on our social media and our blog. So you can find them. Please support them. Show them some love. Share them with your network, right? Please. We as I share with you on every episode, we don't get compensated in any way for what we do here with our business shout out. This is just one of our ways that we can be able to support more and more businesses globally. As you see, we've covered the U.S. and went all the way to Czech Republic. This is just one way that we do that. So I truly do hope that you will find one of the businesses that we've shared and that you've connected and you've become a long-term customer of theirs. I truly do. Oh my goodness. So, hey, well, look at that. It's already time. Time just flies by, doesn't it? Well, it's that time. It's time to wrap up and go our separate ways until we see each other next. If you guys have any questions or suggestions about this show, please visit ForemanLLC.com/podcast. That's ForemanLLC.com/podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please rate and review the podcast so that others can find us. We want to make sure that we give proper credit for our show's theme song. This right here is called Higher Up, and our business segment song is called Pulsar. Both songs are by the talented Shane Ivers. I want to leave you guys with something I found on Pinterest. The source appears to be a site called The Garden, I'm assuming. And it says, "This is not my responsibility. Other people's words, other people's mistakes, other people's beliefs, the consequences of other people's actions, other people's opinions, and other people's ideas. Now, this is my responsibility. My words, my behavior, my actions, my efforts, my mistakes, my ideas, and the consequences of my actions." Boom. Let that sink in and help you to create healthy boundaries, to create healthy environments and relationships. I will see you guys here next time. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, there's 4 things that we ask of you. First, please leave a rating and review. Second, be sure to connect with us on social media. Third, head over to ForemanLLC.com/podcast to sign up to our email list. And fourth, check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, for sharing these episodes with others, and for your continued support. And don't forget what we tell you on every episode. Don't call what you're planning, thinking, dreaming, or doing, little or small. Go big, go bold, or go nowhere. We can't wait to reconnect with you soon. See you next time.